Howdy.
Hello, everyone. I hadn't heard about it ahead of time, so I decided to check in real quick before I got started. The Trump stroke thing is based it on it very little. There's no
Gavin
evidence.
Newsom's one to put it out, the governor of California.
Yeah, and he's also been pushing a lot of troll-like behavior, like
Yeah, but
matching
he's
Trump.
but he'd still tell the truth if it was something like that.
I don't think he would know. Like for one, Trump's entire team. Well, they would do this anyway. I'll go ahead and concede that even if it were true, Trump would claim like he was healthy. But all of the basis is on his droopiness, which is in and of itself, it's not really conclusive evidence. Like I don't get me wrong, I'm perfectly fine if dude had a stroke, but I'm not going to celebrate until I have some more evidence for it.
Oh yeah. We need the White House to say it.
Yeah. Well, even if the White House don't say it, because they may try to hide it. I mean, the current administration is known for their lies and
I mean, the White House says he's in perfect shape. He's in like all
yeah,
this shit. And it's like,
yeah,
see the motherfucker. He's fat as hell and can barely
right,
walk.
right. Which is why I said early on that of course he would lie anyway, but like it doesn't necessarily have to be the White House. We just need some sort of heavier evidence, like more than just a little droop. Like especially if it continues to get worse or it's like way more noticeable. Now, I haven't dug into it deeply. I literally just looked this up. But if I start like watching forward, going forward, and all of his press releases and everything, and he's like, it's a measurable, massive difference in his
Yeah, it should be
speech
one
patterns
side.
and stuff.
It should be one side that's all droopy. When you have a stroke, it
Right.
should be one or the other side.
Right. But if that is very pronounced and extremely obvious, and I can just go back, compare it to like his former talks, then I'll believe it. I just haven't dug into it enough personally.
It'll be a while. They'll
Yeah,
deny it. Why
of
they do their
course.
war crimes.
Of course.
I just seen they just blew up another Venezuela boat,
Yep.
international waters. Another war crime.
His entire tactic seems to be do whatever he can, like keep like obfuscating and like just do like making all these like, oh look over here, it's an emergency, and like for one, it's drawing attention away from the Epstein files, which seems to be one of his primary priorities.
Which they
And
did drop out the files. They did come out. There's like 600 Republicans in them.
so, are they completely released?
There was a huge batch of them. Democrats got a whole bunch of them pushed out.
Nice. I didn't
And
know
did you
about
see?
that.
You see Ted Cruz say stop attacking pedophiles?
No, I didn't, but that's hilarious.
I sent the video in your Discord, but yeah, Ted Cruz is like, stop attacking blah blah blah, and then he's like, stop attacking pedophiles, and he didn't stop to correct himself for anything. He just kept on going.
What a moron. Wow.
Oh,
Hello.
Hello, Odd.
woot woot. Hey, one.
Well, it looks like we are going to war, though. Venezuela. The cartels, as it calls it, declared war.
It's all just bullshit.
It's kind of like Bush's war on terror. I mean, that was such a
We
broad
have to find a way to do something about these catch-all like fighting terrorism. Like you have to get that power away. The Patriot Act took away a shit ton of our rights, and they don't need anything. All they got to do is be like national security. They can do whatever the fuck they want, and that's a big issue.
Yep.
And as always, they always go, "This is emergency powers, and we will give you your rights back as soon as there's no longer an emergency." It never happens.
Which they can issue martial law, cut off the internet, everything. Like,
And when they do it, I'm going to go ahead and say it. They never give it back. Never. Like you can't allow that shit to happen in the first place.
wasn't it Benjamin Franklin said, if you give up freedoms for security, you deserve neither?
Yep. You deserve neither. That's what he said. And yeah, I completely agree with that. It's a very big, especially when you're dealing with someone like Trump. He's a megalomaniac and he's a narcissist, and he wants power at all costs. He just wants the limelight. He doesn't care if he's the villain or the hero.
Yeah, he just wants all lights on him. Like when I watched the interview, his sisters, he has like 3 sisters. They all sat down and did an interview. And they said the only time he'd go to church if there was cameras there, so he could be on camera. That's it.
Where's the end goal? Like the end goal doesn't work out productively
He's
doing
a
what he's
child.
doing.
So what
Simply a
I
child.
think is it's not all about power. I think his primary thing is making money, and he is making insane amounts of money with his crypto schemes. Like he set up a system to where if people want off his tariffs and shit, which everyone does because the United States is a pretty big player, the biggest player on the world stage, although not for long. All they have to do is be like, okay, we'll put some money into this crypto deal that benefits Trump directly. And then, I'll make it go away. You no longer have these big tariff issues.
No, I've got a bigger problem because he's making killer money anyway, and he could just sit steady and still be doing that, right? But he's going for broke. He's going for no, I want to be the person that is always here and always doing that, right?
He got
and because he's going to because he's only going to that, because he's going to such level like that level. I don't get it because he's fucking in his 80s. He's going to be dead in the relatively short.
I don't.
So it's for his family, right?
I don't think it's about Trump. It's not about Trump. It's about his friends and JD Vance, whoever picks up the mantle after him.
But he changes his friends at a whim.
That's true. Well, that's how Trump is. But I think all he's doing, he's just trying to keep
what you're saying.
I think I could be wrong, but that's my opinion. I think he's trying to keep this grift going even beyond him.
I don't get why he's keeping the script going is my issue.
It's narcissism.
But in the end, it's he is, but in the end goal only leads to it sort of coming to him for a degree and then things burning out because they can't be sustained and then it all falling apart.
Yeah, but he does not care. Even if he does, I agree with the zero self-awareness.
No other outcome.
But he doesn't give a shit. He's not a patriot.
Yeah.
He only cares about himself at all. And right now he's sitting pretty. He's made more money just in his second term than he's made basically in his entire life. Like he is ramped up severely.
Yeah.
It shows you his entire priority. All he cares about is benefiting himself and his buddies.
But his supporters would be like, Biden was enriching himself while he was in the office, but yet completely ignore everything Trump was doing. I had a guy pop that off at work. Yeah, Biden was enriching himself while I'm like, are you fucking stupid? I looked at him, I was like, who's selling merchandise? Who's selling the crypto? All that shit.
So it depends on the extent at which they're making a claim. If they just simply go, well, Biden enriched himself, and they're not trying to, if they're trying to do a direct, like, it's obviously worse. Like, I don't have time for that level of stupidity. Like, get the fuck away from me. You're a fucking moron.
Biden did it at acceptable levels, at least for the time.
He didn't really.
It's not acceptable at any amount.
Honestly, I don't like it.
Right, exactly. From our perspective, but we're all broke. From their perspective, they're dealing with trillions and they're skimming off millions. It's like fucking a deli owner taking milk home to his wife each night,
like $500 billion.
A deli's like a small shop owner.
So, okay, if your point is to say what Trump is doing is vastly worse, I agree. But I don't want to downplay, because I completely am 100% against even what Biden did. 100%.
Of course.
It's not comparable. They're not, it's like fucking little leagues compared to Major League Baseball.
Biden is comparable to your other presidents prior.
Yeah.
Trump is extreme mafia.
He's going extreme. Like, the problem is so many people that are Trump supporters were never into politics at all and know nothing about politics. So they have no idea about previous presidents. So now they're like
the ones that were into justice, doesn't it? And the ones that aren't into justice.
Well,
fucking blatantly.
Right wingers are into justice, but they're not into fair justice across the board. They're into justice against their enemies and their enemies alone.
Yeah.
But if it's their guys that are doing the fucking criminality, then it's like, oh, it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, we'll accept the excuse. Exactly.
Well, like Rick Scott, he's one of the richest members of Congress. He pulled off the largest Medicare scam ever when he was the CEO of a company in Florida. He walked down from the company, didn't get any charges because the whole company got like taken to the cleaners for it. But basically, he was just charging Medicare for millions of dollars of things that never took place, and then just putting as profits on the company. All he did was step down and became a congressman.
Wow. And what, he didn't even get a slap on the wrist?
Nothing. Nope. Parachute package.
So this is what I'm seeing. I just watched a video yesterday with Gavin Newsom. It was a interview with Diary of a CEO. I don't know if you've ever seen that channel. It's a British black guy. He seems pretty cool, but like Gavin Newsom, he lost my. I hate to say it because we don't have a lot of good options. Well, we have no good options, but he lost a lot of my respect. He said that he said, I am completely against the Democratic Party's quote attack on success. He's framing it as if they're attacking anyone who succeeds in life, and that's bullshit framing because they only succeed because they're fucking people over, and it shouldn't be legal.
Well, and they all come from wealthy off families. Like they're all nepotism babies who've never had to work or do anything. They went to the best universities. They did internships for maybe a year and then became millionaires right after that.
Yeah, but what gets me is he's framing it as success. That's not hard work. That's not intelligence. That's not like merit. That's just fucking the system and fucking people over in order to succeed, which tends to be the case. And Gavin Newsom's just cheering it on. He's like, even Elon Musk, we might disagree on some political issues, but I've been his biggest fan forever. And what he's done for the country as an entrepreneur, and I'm like, oh my God, what the fuck? Like,
all he did was invest in companies
$1 trillion
and then reap profits.
What was that again? I didn't hear all of that.
Elon was just like a hedge fund manager guy. Like all he did was invest in companies and then reap stock benefits. That was it.
He was
He's getting a $1 trillion subsidy from the US government too over something. I can't remember, space stuff or whatever.
Well, it's not just from the US government. It's from Tesla itself. They want to keep him motivated. So they pumped it up, I believe, to $1 trillion if he follows through in certain, like, I don't know, there's certain milestones he has to meet, and it's to keep him motivated. But that's terrible. Like, we shouldn't have a person that's worth as much as he does, or he is, period. It shouldn't exist because people want to look at it like, oh, it just means he succeeds. No, it doesn't.
No, it didn't.
That's not what it means.
He takes advantage of people, and that's how you get to the top.
Exactly.
I mean, that's all.
He does not need government subsidies.
You're right. That's all capitalism is. But they've been fed this propaganda for so long about this is the American dream, and you can succeed if you work hard, and all this bullshit that they're told. It's so hard.
In the golden age, whenever they told people to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and all that horse shit, which if you ever see a picture of pull up by your bootstraps, it's a guy laying on his back pulling on his tongues of his boots. Like, you can't pull yourself up. It's meant to make fun of people, but the poorly educated don't realize it.
Right. Well, it became they turned it into a real message. Even like the Republican Party, like, of course it was meant as like some bullshit or like as a joke. But they turned it into a real thing, and Republicans everywhere are using it like daily as if it's like their motto for life. It's amazing to me.
The European meaning of it is try to do something that's impossible, knowing that you can't succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Like saying you're going to jump over the moon. That's like pulling yourself up by your bootstraps.
I still don't understand your Democratic Party. Wasn't that supposed to be your blue side, but it's not your blue side too? What the fuck? I don't know. Like, and then you have liberals or something, and they're like,
FDR is the one that came about with that. FDR was like, he was the big Democrat. He's the one to turn, because the Republicans, they did tariffs in the 1920s, which caused the Great Depression. The Smoot-Hawley tariffs crashed the whole economy, destroyed America, and because of that, FDR got elected in, and he was elected 4 times. He's actually the one who put the term limit in for president as 10 years. And he was actually a democratic socialist.
Mm-hmm.
he was like Bernie Sanders.
I know what a socialist is, but I don't know what a Democrat is, because that seems to
they're
change
elected.
from your side to
it's a
Democrat to me
hybrid, basically.
means different.
It's very close to the type of governments that, like in the Scandinavian regions, have what they run. Norway, Sweden, those countries have this sort of system, and it keeps capitalism.
Does
and
this
it's
mean working elections? Democratic?
Yeah, that's what I mean. You elect the people of the social.
Yes, although I still maintain we're not a democracy; we're an oligarchy, and I will drum on.
We are perceived as we are still democratic, and we probably aren't either.
Right. Well,
So I know what you mean.
So perception is one thing, but no, there's actual evidence that we're not a democracy. In fact,
oh, for sure. I agree.
What was it? Cambridge, Oxford? I can't remember.
You don't have to explain that to me. I definitely agree.
Right. So, but there's an easy way to tell. So let's say if you're looking to prove that you are a democracy, right? How do you do so? You simply take popular opinion of voters and on issues, especially over the course of a very long period of time on a number of issues, and you correlate what people think and how they think things should go as in terms of policies, and then you match it against what actually happened.
Media. How do you do that second bit? You didn't explain that, and that would probably be via media, I'm guessing, and that's where the problem lies, because the media gets control.
Well, no. You don't need the media to conduct polls. In fact, these didn't. And so it's actually just people reporting. I don't see any reason why people would just lie, especially on a large scale. These were really large scale studies. And it turns out that there is almost zero. It's like, if you look at the line, it barely goes up as more and more people favor a particular policy, but it has zero correlation with the policies that actually get pushed through. Where there is correlation is what elites want. People with money. What they want is what policies get pushed through. This study proves, to me at least, beyond a shadow of a doubt, there is no democracy. It's an illusion. It's bullshit.
One of the ones I've seen over the years is Rush Limbaugh used to be about the inheritance tax. Oh, we got to get rid of inheritance tax, all this bullshit. And if you actually looked into it, because I had many Republicans saying to me, oh, we got to get rid of it. And I looked into it. It doesn't tax inheritance till after $3 million. And then when Republicans finally got to change it, it's like $13 million now that it's not taxed up to that point. And then anything after like $13 million then gets taxed at such percent.
What is the basis for their argument? Because I don't understand this. Like, okay,
the reason is it's landowners / business owners get the vote in your country.
Well, no,
civilians.
Right, I understand that. What I mean is the argument. What is the position that it's wrong? Like that your father earned this money, which he didn't even do that. But let's for a second just stick with it. Let's say he earned it. Why should what? Because your father earned that or whatever, it should all go to you. I don't understand the argument behind it because it's flawed to me.
Yeah, it's mostly made off the backs of hardworking people, and the ones at the top don't really do shit but other than collect the money.
Which is why we have a completely backward system. All of the power should lie on the workers, with the workers. People don't like it.
You have a more productive system in the end.
Well, so part of that is on by design, in my opinion. They have pushed such propaganda against anytime workers have any sort of rights like unions, which has always helped even the middle class, historically, they tie that with communism because Americans have been for many, many years, they've been infested with propaganda that communism is evil. Look what Mao did. Look what Lenin did. Yeah.
The big Russia, the Red Scare of all through the 50s to the 70s.
Yes. So it's at a point where most people, especially if they're emotional about it and they go fucking communist or Marxist or whatever, they don't even know what the fucking terms mean. It's perfectly fine to disagree with socialism, communism, or whatever. but you should at least understand what you're disagreeing with. That's my position.
They won't read Karl Marx or anything like that. Which he just basically laid out like, okay, this is how this system works, this is how this system works, and this is how this system works. Here's the pros, here's the cons. That's it. But they don't want people to read the book, so then therefore they say, oh, he's evil, the Communist Manifesto, it's just all bad, blah, blah, blah. And it just puts people off from even learning it.
It's a problem. It goes right back to our conversation on anti-intellectualism. That is a massive issue. People don't give it enough credit how big of a deal it is. Like people, they don't even just it's not that they just don't care about it. They actively abhor intelligence. They actually dislike experts and authority figures. And I don't mean authority.
They're their authorities.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Supporters tend to be anti-government, anti-police, all these things until they're in power, and then all of a sudden they love those things.
Yep. And that's kind of like fascism 101. That's how it always happens. It's hilarious. And then there's so many people that just don't see it, though. So either they don't see it or they refuse to speak it. I don't know why. They're afraid. I don't get it.
They're ape brains. I mean, that's they don't want to critically think about anything. To them, they just want to crack a beer open, sit in front of the idiot box, and let it tell them what to think.
But the thing is, you don't, like, sooner or later, you no longer have the ability to turn on that idiot box, or that idiot box becomes a fucking state-controlled propaganda machine. Like, people don't understand the slippery slope of, like, rights and freedoms, and where you cannot allow, I don't care if it's the left in charge, you cannot allow them to take away certain freedoms. You can't, because it's all going downhill after that.
Well, the TV, when it was first patented, it was patented as a mind control device.
We've got a live one pushing first cause.
What?
We've got a live one pushing first cause.
Oh, you're talking about the
sense to believe that no God is required to explain our existence.
I'll let you take a crack at that if you want to. If not, I'll join.
I mean, it's pretty simple. Like you say there's intelligent design. Well, the God's pretty bad at designing things because the human body is so poorly designed. I mean, we got a reproductive system with our waste system, the vagus nerve, which goes from the brain all the way down around your pelvis bone, all the way back up when it only has to go about 3 inches. The gallbladder, different things. I mean, it's just poor design if there is a God.
That's one argument, and I completely agree with that. So it's worth noting that they could say, yeah, but you can't do any better. You got to understand your God, in your belief, your God can do anything. Sky's the limit. So if we as just puny humans can think of like improvements, it's shit by default. Like if we can think of any improvement, especially,
there's still not any proof of design. It's absolutely no proof of design. They've got nothing to compare it to because they only have one universe. So there's no way for them to prove that it's designed in the first place. Plus, they're using a God, which is the first cause, which is what I first mentioned. They have to show evidence why they asserted God for the universe being eternal. Plus, we believe that matter has always existed and will always exist. It does not degrade over time. So it is more than likely following the evidence that our universe has been and will always be eternal and therefore was not created in any way. Therefore, no God needed.
Right.
It's the evidence.
So hold on. So show evidence how we can exist without a creator. So first, you started with a presupposition. You've started with a presupposition that's on its face retarded, and I'm sorry that's kind of impolite, but it's true. Like you start with the presupposition that there has to be a creator, which is dumb. That's not science. That's the opposite of science. You're starting from faith. No, you are making the positive claim here. The onus is on you to provide evidence for your claim. We don't have to do anything. We can just sit here and fucking talk shit or do whatever, and we win by default. That's just how it works, whether you like it or not.
You can't prove or disprove a
The
God.
presupposition is that God exists.
Yes,
That
and
a creator exists. We're saying formation, not creation.
Yes, you did start with a presupposition. Your presupposition is like implicit in the question, and that we need to show evidence that we can exist without a creator. So you presuppose that there has to be a creator for us to exist. That is stupid.
Therefore they have the burden of proof because they're making the claim.
You can come up, Quasi.
Which religious people tend to try to make reality fit their holy book versus looking at reality for what it is.
Yes, you did. You don't understand. You don't have, when something is implicit, you don't have to state it because it's in your words. Like that, this right here, show evidence how we can exist without a creator. That sentence makes absolutely no sense without that presupposition. So either you did make that presupposition or you're just talking gibberish that makes absolutely no sense. Like it's one or the other.
Well,
I know who it is.
Reaction.
What was that?
The sexual pleasure. That's a chemical reaction in the brain. That's
That's
dopamine.
true. That is, well, it's more than that, but it is just chemical.
Serotonin, oxytocin.
Right. It is just chemical reactions. That's true.
That's all life is. Just
I explained to you why I'm not answering the question, because the question's loaded and based on your presupposition, which makes it invalid, which means I don't need to answer it.
Well, what makes it his god? What about Zeus or Odin or the
That's
great
also
the mountain?
That's a good point as well.
Where's all these other gods? How do you know they didn't create everything and not your god?
Answer our question. Why do you get to insert or /assert a god into the formation process?
Like
you can't
Odin,
dismiss our case. You've got the extraordinary claim, mate. You're the one with the extraordinary claim requiring the extraordinary answer. And we're waiting for your extraordinary answer.
It's not going to happen. What he's doing now is he's trying to like pivot and act like he holds the higher ground and like, oh, I dismiss your case. You were dismissed already, dude. Like you don't have a point.
It's a passive blitz out. It's kind of funny.
Zach,
come up and blitz out on stage, brother.
Yeah, actually, everything works better if you're not just limited to text, because like the textual ambiguity is a thing. We're not going to get your full position unless you're up here. You don't even have to be on video if you don't want to be. You can just do audio if you'd like.
Oh, I don't have any audio.
No, I wasn't talking about you.
G'day, Zach. How you going, brother?
Oh, I'm here. Oh, I might have a bad connection.
The God. So, which God are you talking about? The Christian God?
Yeah, I love.
Because if we're going to go with like a specific God, then I can easily explain why your position is absolutely illogical.
Jihad. Jihad. Jihad.
It's just God of the gaps now. They're just losing more ground.
Live?
Yes, you are.
Technical. It says I'm. Oh, there I am. Oh, okay. I had a lag. Hey, I'm just saying hello. I'm not gonna engage in this conversation. I just want to say hi.
I don't need.
See and Gad.
Howdy, howdy.
You're good. So I don't need an alternative.
You
so you're still
unstructured.
Yes, okay. This is unstructured. Although at this moment we're talking about religious stuff, but so again, you have this presupposition. What is my alternative? I don't need an alternative. Like I don't have to do anything. You have to provide evidence for your. You have the burden of proof here. You have the extraordinary claim. I don't. Like I don't have to do anything. I can just sit here. I don't think you understand how this works. You don't need an alternative. Like, what do you mean? Like, to creation? We already have it.
Do you have an alternative anyway? But I can't explain it easily here. I know the whole physics down to T to the minus 36 seconds of the creation of the Big Bang. But I ain't fucking explaining all of that right here just because some fucking idiot won't give us evidence for their God.
So right, I'm kind of on board with you, but in a simplistic thing is just evolution explains. And by the way, evolution is a fact in certain, in one way of looking at it, and that it exists. That's beyond a shadow of a doubt.
It doesn't even explain God. It explains us.
Right. Well, what I'm saying is that is what I'm saying. Like, so when he said, do you have an alternative? I'm not talking about a creator. I'm talking about how we came about. And that's where the science points.
Well, and also like the Earth, if you want to go by how the Earth was created, that came from a sun going supernova. Like ours is a class 3 star. It's gone supernova twice already. And all the atoms or all the elements we have on Earth had to be forged in fusion inside of a sun. And then that sun goes boom. And then that gravity makes all that mass collect together and form planets. Without a supernova, you can have like iron, zinc, all these different metals and everything. You won't have any of it.
All this guy's telling us is that he's been told what to think and hasn't bothered to go and get an education on any fucking thing. Peer-reviewed, science-based.
Everything in our
That's
universe
all he's doing now.
Which is hydrogen and helium.
Look at my face. This is the face of an intellectual who thinks,
absolutely good.
Thinking really deeply, and then you just go and you're like, oh shit.
Are you taking a shit, Zach?
Are you taking a dump?
A lot of these. Thanks.
Seems like it.
Wait, you should see this. I'm a chronic thinker, and I do this with my. I just go like that, and then I just stare off into space, and then people are like, "What the?" And then I'm not even there all the time.
I do that all the time too. I do it whenever I like play with my goatee when I'm like all in like off in space.
I can tell when Probs is stressed. I can see the stroke marks from the beard.
It's true.
I gotta say a shout out to my mom. Come on, TV. Whoa. She doesn't care.
What's the prize gonna be? What's the prize gonna be?
Grasso, consciousness didn't come that way at first.
Too excitable. If I don't yell, it's good.
Fungi was on the Earth for like 1.3 billion years. Like fungi and
oh yeah, cool.
Basically, is how life came about. It formed neural structures and everything. It turned all the rock into soil so other things could grow.
Oh, I could contribute. What are the criteria of life? That's also the next philosophy. What's alive or what's conscious? Because there could be states of existence before consciousness. So, but it didn't really matter because that goes back to if what's
science, Angelo. Science, my friend.
But nobody.
This is very easy to learn.
If a bear farts, then what's that expression about? If nobody knows it, oh shit! I forgot the expression. I'm getting old, but if nobody's around to hear it, then does it exist?
That's if a tree falls in the woods.
If a bear farts in the woods and nobody's around to hear it, does it exist? So the thing is did the universe even matter before? If no one existed to know that it was there.
There always has to be something. You can't have nothing.
Well, there is no problem with consciousness.
It's the conscious state that causes us to know that it was there, so it's not even there.
What's the problem?
The problem is his presuppositions are his problem.
There.
Oh yeah. I want to know what he thinks the problem of consciousness is.
Well, it's being self-aware. So once apes...
It's emergent.
Well, apes consumed mushrooms, mycelium, and the psychedelics caused new connections in the brain. new neural connections, which then made us be able to basically become self-aware. And then that's where religion started coming in.
I think the big problem, it always goes back to what's the word? Ignorance. Is you don't understand consciousness, how it works or whatever. So you turn it into something magical.
Or science.
You think that consciousness is like this, there's a soul and it's like this magical thing that exists outside the body. There's no evidence for that. In fact, we're tending toward everything as material, including consciousness.
And that's just a mistranslation of Greek, which the word soul in Greek is psyche, which actually we derive the word psyche from.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all it meant in Greek was the human psyche, consciousness.
That's interesting. I never
right.
knew that.
Well, we could get
this
into
guy doesn't know what faith means either.
Right. Well, we could get into the semantics, but what matters is I know what people mean when they use the word soul. And so regardless of like the origin and the semantics of it, I know what they're attempting to say.
Became conscious. Sorry.
And
just
just
read his text.
To me, the concept of a soul on its own is highly illogical. There's no evidence to support it. And it's sort of like wishful thinking, in my opinion.
They tried to measure the weight of it and all, and that failed. They got a couple of positive results in their very few in their database, but so they've got a few believers because of that. But it turns out that was just what do you call it? Recording errors.
A lot of religion, you just gotta look at the origins. Like, how were these words used in this time? What did they mean? Like, heaven means sky. Like when they always say "look to the heavens," they mean look to the sky because they thought the sky is where the heaven was. Like, it's a lot of misunderstanding.
A rigid heaven above the clouds. The firmament was rigid. It was shiny too.
So you have another presupposition here, Grasso. You're saying, show me the physical substance of the soul. There is no soul. It's something that people made up for wishful thinking. They want it to exist. There is no soul. Do you understand now?
Unless you use the original Greek version, which just means consciousness, being aware, self-awareness. And that's basically all it is. Your brain is self-aware. Which I don't think some of these Christians are aware of anything.
I think that we don't have to prove anything, dude. You have the extraordinary claim. Like we win by default. You don't understand this. Like if you I'm willing to take you seriously and everything, but like it would work so much better for you if you will come up here. I'm not going to attack you, but like this is not really a good format for this. Like we're here, like people can measure our vocal tone and see at least my facial expressions and all that. We can't do that for you. And it's easy to misunderstand what you're trying to say. You're at a massive handicap right now. So come up.
Dolphins can. Dolphins are extremely intelligent. They just don't have vocal cords.
Hello, Grasso.
They fucking masturbate.
Hi, guys.
Fucking rape and everything.
Yeah, dolphins are nasty.
So let's give him a moment to lay out his case here. Like, what do you want to talk about? What specifically are you wanting to discuss here?
Well, I mean, I think that atheists simply have no case for their worldview that we can exist without a creator. I at least have never seen any atheist bringing me any reasonable, logical, plausible, and rational arguments to sustain the claim that we can exist without a creator.
So again, you're starting with a presupposition that there has to be a creator. That's a mistake. That's a mess up. Like, why do you have that? Let's break it down. Why do you believe that there has to be a creator?
Well, first of all, I do not present or claim to have absolute knowledge in regards of ultimate origins. What I have is inference to the best explanation. We have basically two worldviews which compete one against the other. In one worldview, there is a creator, which I would describe simply as an eternal, powerful, conscious mind. And on the other side, there isn't any. And these two propositions, they compete against each other in order to explain why there is something rather than not.
So I don't disagree with any of that. In fact, you did a great job of explaining the two sides, but you're not answering where you got your presupposition from. And that's important. That's like the meat of this whole conversation, in my opinion.
Yeah, so I am not a presuppositionalist.
But
I
you
am an evidentialist, and I start with the simple fact that we exist, and that demands an
Can we
explanation.
explain your presupposition again, then, please?
so hold on.
Were you
He's
indoctrinated?
He's saying that he doesn't have a presupposition, but I think you don't understand what I mean by a presupposition. You believe that there must be a creator. That's a presupposition because you have no evidence for it.
No.
And you're
bring him up a little bit on the list too, because we can't see him when your bubbles, air bubbles are up.
Oh, sorry.
To what
How do I do that?
Select it and drag. Drop it. Yeah, click and drag.
Center left. Okay, see a thing off the screen. I'll put us all in the middle.
What the heck? I don't know how to do. Oh, there it went.
Yeah, like that. Yeah.
Okay, there we go. I didn't even know you could do that.
Ah, it's just, when the main people are talking, it's good to see them rather,
That's true. So sorry to interrupt. You can continue now, Grasso.
So again, to be very clear, my approach is a cumulative argument for God's existence, which starts with the very basic fact that we exist. The physical universe exists, life exists, biodiversity exists, consciousness exists, morality exists, all these things that require an explanation. That's my starting point. And my end point is not an absolute assertion. It is an abductive reasoning to the best explanation.
I know, but so the problem is your explanation that in your perspective is the best opens far more questions than it gives any answers. Like it's not really, it's why we have this God of the gaps talk in the first place, because it always changes. And anytime we don't understand something, it becomes like a plug that goes, oh, that was God. Oh, that was God. And that's not science. That's like the absence of science. That's not thinking. That's not critical thinking at all.
It's Bronze Age theory.
Yeah, you know what Bartolini's law is? In a few sentences, you said so many nonsense that it would take me half an hour to explain to you why what you said is nonsense.
So hold on.
We did it in less for you though.
Break down.
Explain what you thought we thought was nonsense about yours.
That's true.
And the only thing is that you're a certain creator. And you don't see that. That is your presupposition, sir.
That we are using a God of the gaps is so old-fashioned, so boring.
It doesn't look.
It doesn't matter. I'm explain, sir, and you're now being insulting to us.
I am not here to be entertaining. I'm here to seek truth. So it doesn't matter if it's old. It matters if it's correct, and it is correct. The God of the gaps actually describes specific phenomenon, and that's what I use it for. And it doesn't matter. Like, what do you think this is? Like a talk show to where my entire purpose is to like get people interested? No, we're here to discuss things and whether or not they're true. At least that's where I come from.
Okay, so my case is not based on gaps or lack of knowledge. My case is based. Wow, can I make at least one sentence without being interrupted?
You could, but you've talked over me twice when I've been talking, so this is maybe payback.
It is true. It is true that both of you have kind of done that, but let's let the man talk for right now.
Okay, so my case is not based on lack of knowledge or, oh, we don't know something there, we put God into it. My case is based on what science has unraveled, brought to light, which demands an explanation. The universe most likely had a beginning. It requires an explanation. What was the cause of that beginning? The universe is finely tuned for life, and there are over 450 fine-tuned parameters which are required to have a life-permitting planet. That demands an explanation. Life is depending on the selection of 4 specific macromolecules which are required to have life. Life depends on information, instructional, complex, specified information, which directs the making of proteins, which are the workhorses of the cell. that demands an explanation. Life depends on a language which is based on the genetic code. The origin of that demands an explanation. Now, all these phenomena, you can give to them two possible explanations. One is that random luck did the job, and the other is that an intelligent, powerful, conscious creator did the job. So, which of these two possible explanations explain the phenomena in question in a superior manner? And I would say if you go from each of these 6 or 7 points, which I just listed now, and posit random unguided events, this is an infinitely inferior explanation.
Are you willing to come back next week, sir? Because I will go and get the science and the studies and I will show them to you. But I do not have them at my forefront of attention at the moment.
We have a
but
good
I
answer
can do that for you.
The Big Bang Theory is a good answer for it, which was actually provided by a Vatican priest from the Vatican Observatory. We had 13 billion years, and humans only came about it in the last 500,000 years of 13 billion, which is a minute in all of the scale of time. If you had all time as a 24-hour clock, we are 1 minute of all of existence. So why did it take
what is the cause of
so
the bang?
long?
What is the cause of the bang?
So look, hold on. You're
with the Big Bang.
So you're kind of going with the contingency argument here. It's saying that everything is contingent on something, which means if the Big Bang caused the universe, then what caused the Big Bang? You could do the you have the same problem with God. What caused God? And then you go.
Something must have always existed, because otherwise there would be nothing.
And that
the big
so the question is, what always existed? Is it the universe, or is it a superior being which brought the universe?
So based on the evidence we have, I would posit that energy itself solves the contingency problem, because energy is complete. You can't destroy it. It has existed and probably always will exist. And as Gadwin sort of pointed out, the how do I put it? The model of the Big Bang and the Big Crunch, and that it's essentially always in motion, going from one to the other, explains everything with absolutely no issue. The only difference,
you have a big problem here, which is the second law of thermodynamics, which says that you go from a low entropy starting point at the universe to a high entropy end point, where the universe basically ends with heat death, where energy cannot perform any work anymore. And there is no scientific model which reverses that to an initial starting point, where the high entropy state goes back to a low entropy state, and then everything can bounce back and restart. That model simply has never been shown to be plausible.
So if it's not plausible, why are there so many scientists who jump on it without question? Because
first of all, that is a faith position. It's not.
It's not faith.
There is no science which shows that entropy can be reverted. Actually, the second law of thermodynamics is one of the most scientifically attested scientific physical laws, which has never been broken.
So I am not prepared to be able to combat the law of thermodynamics that you just mentioned, and I'm not going to pretend like I can. However, I will say, when it comes to just pure probability, even with that issue, it's way more likely than a deity or a god. That's just insanity.
I mean, like, who created God then? How do you explain
exactly
God?
Like there's the contingency problem always it goes back even to the theist who uses the contingency argument against atheists. Like, you have the same problem.
Yep, exactly right.
God
Hence my first statement at all, the first mover problem.
Creator, which has never been created, which has always existed.
Exactly.
You're presupposing creation rather than formation, when we can explain formation all the way back to the Big Bang. And we're not even saying that is the beginning. We're just saying that's the beginning of the physics that we understand. No one's saying exactly. No, we don't even know that for sure. We're just saying that it's in a different form than it was today. The physics was different. We don't understand it. You can't understand it. You are inserting a God. We are asserting that is the point where we don't know.
CERN has
End of
helped us
fucking
actually
story,
understand
mate.
a lot of it.
Your
If you break
assertion is
everything,
God. Explain your God. That's all we ask. And
What
you
is- what
haven't
is God?
explained your God. All
What
you've
is
done
God?
is made excuses. All you've gone is, yeah, but you can't explain this. Yeah, but you can't explain that. But we fucking can. And if you bother to look at the science, you can fucking learn it. But we can't learn about your imaginary God. And we want to know how you can explain your thing, which is undetectable and is apparently, I don't know that you're Christian, I'm assuming here, is benevolent and fucking all-knowing, all-seeing, and fucking everything like that. And these three omnis don't fit together anyway. That's a contradiction. Your Bible has contradictions. Everything has contradictions for Christianity.
Grasso?
All right, let's let JT talk for a moment. He just popped in. He hasn't been able to say anything.
No, that's cool. It's cool. I feel
Hey,
like
JT,
deja
how
vu,
you
right?
going?
No, Grasso. Where did you guys get this guy?
He just popped up. I don't know.
How you doing, Grasso?
Friendly. He's been nice. He's good. He's just having his conversation.
He's actually he's made me have to frickin' think, and that's not common in my experience with this. No offense, but like, it's not normal.
No, I don't mean to sound to be on the attack too much.
So what's he arguing
exactly,
exactly?
fella?
Well, I mean, you're on repeat like every day, Adi. But what's he arguing exactly? Like,
Not really.
Kinda. But like, what is he arguing about? God? Like for the existence of God?
Yes, he's arguing that it's the most rational. He made it clear that he's not making an objective claim, but he thinks that it's the most plausible. I'm not going to put words in his mouth. He can simplify it for you if he would like to. I'll probably get it incorrect at some point.
And Grasso, you say that it's probably more likely that that it was designed because like it has an order to it or something, or I don't want to summarize your point for you, so I just got here, like, so I'm asking.
Well, there are several.
Quickly answer Mama Dingo's questions here because it's simple. She's going on about the genetic code, and it's more a genetic method.
Adi, why don't you let the man talk?
For ease.
Shut the fuck up.
Because this fucker's just.
Why don't you shut the fuck up? Everyone's tired of hearing your voice.
He's just answering a question from chat, and I do try to include chat. It's fine.
So I do deny the.
What were you saying, Grasso, before this fucker kept yapping? Shut up.
Yeah, there are a few columns, I would say, of intelligent design. One is fine-tuning, the other is instructional information, the other is irreducible complexity, the other is foresight. There are a few others. There is integrated complexity. These are, in my understanding, hallmarks of design. So when you see things which have these properties, then it is probably more rational to believe that they have an intelligent cause.
Pattern recognition. All you're doing is saying you recognize patterns, basically. And
no, he's saying that it has like an order to it, and shit doesn't just order itself. Like it usually requires something.
We look at things. Things have ordered themselves how they are, but we just observe it as it's already.
So, Ross, do you think, like, whatever the origin of things, do you think it's like a?
Yeah, and I'm the one on repeat. For fuck's sake, fucking. This is fun talking over
totally
JT, isn't it?
Like every day you're on repeat. Like every fucking time I see this place.
Around derailing JT's fun.
Derailing, goddamn, dude. Sorry, I derailed you.
Sorry.
I swear to God, you've had the same conversation.
We can both be rude.
Okay. So everyone here has not heard, or I'm sure people are watching this that don't know any of us. And if that happens, then it's fine to reiterate points from the past. In fact, you kind of have to, because it's not just about us. But like, let's not get into talking shit to each other. Like that's when everything goes to shit. Please.
Yeah, so anyway, Grasso, you're saying where everything comes from, like this, it's like by design, right? It just come up from itself or something like that?
What I am saying that is what we see around us in the physical world is better explained by an intelligent, powerful, conscious, eternal creator rather than not.
Right. That's where we disagree. So where do we go from here? Because it's like, to me, that's like that's it.
I mean,
It's a little bit of a crazy claim, in my opinion.
Okay, I
Look
can
at
maybe
these
make an example,
mutations, all
which
kinds
brings
of
it
weird things.
to a point which makes it very clear. Okay, I am by profession machine designer, so I design machines with a specific purpose, and the blueprint which I design goes to the factory. There are factory workers which are able to read the information in that blueprint and then transform that 2D thing into the real 3D device, which is equivalent to the blueprint, right? So
Yeah.
I have never seen a random unguided process to create a blueprint.
So
And if we can see a blueprint in the natural world, then I would
DNA.
say this is a case where what is the path to the cause. That means you don't need to see the mind which created the blueprint to infer that there must have been a mind which created.
Right. I get your position. This is a very common argument, and this is what we call the watchmaker fallacy. It's a fallacy because you're assuming, so you know that a watchmaker, and you used a different example, but it's essentially the same argument. You know that the watch was created. But when it comes to us, our existence, the universe, everything, it's a presupposition, and it's a presupposition without evidence, and that makes it invalid.
Please write down the watchmaker fallacy and have a look at a few more videos on that.
When we have two phenomena,
interesting.
where one phenomena is well known, like the watch is well known that an intelligent cause made the watch,
yes,
and you see a similar phenomena in the natural world
where
you have not seen. Well, yes, because DNA is the blueprint of life. It's equivalent to the blueprint to make a machine. DNA contains the instructions to make molecular machines, which are also machines very similar to man-made machines, but much more complex. And we don't know who or what the cause is of the information stored in DNA. So we have very similar phenomena. On one side, we know the cause, which is an intelligent mind. On the other side, we have similar phenomena, which we don't know. And it is very difficult to assume that a different non-intelligent cause created that information stored in DNA.
It's not difficult if you follow the science that we've learned so far, all the way back to the very creation of what we know where physics comes from.
Yeah, but the science can't tell you one way or the other. That's why he's saying it's
Can I finish, JT, you rude fuck?
You're a fucking rude fuck. You're gonna just repeat yourself.
You are, mate. This is why I do the same to you, brother. You know, it's only you that I've got to do this with.
Listen, the scientific method can't fucking tell. It can't check what he's talking about or what you're talking about.
Well, so is inserting agency where there's no agency required.
Dude, okay, you can insert a lack of agency. It doesn't fucking matter because you can't fucking know. So he's saying it makes more sense that there's a fucking agency involved.
And that's fine.
We haven't got a reason for it.
Yeah, he's giving you a fucking reason because shit doesn't just make itself in the natural world, as far as we know.
And we know how. So you're just not looking into why, and now because you're being ignorant, I'm having to have this shitty little argument.
Nobody gives a fuck about what you're saying right now.
No, you don't, because it opposes your stupid belief that you cannot.
Nobody gives a fuck about your little hard on about Christianity. So nobody gives a shit about your fucking weird little biases.
Guys, we're starting to devolve again.
Sorry, new guests. This isn't what I normally do.
So what I think, in my opinion, what's going on, I believe it's a fallacy. I'm not trying to attack by saying that, but I believe what you're doing is we have knowledge of how things work, how cells are formed, DNA, all of that. And I believe you're working backward. You're going, this is how, like the fine tuning argument, for example, you're going, this is what is necessary for life. And I believe that's backward. And I'll explain why, because that is how evolution works. These things existed, right? And we just by means of how evolution works, we use those things. We were built to make those things more beneficial to us to increase our survival. So regardless of, like, it's going to look the same at the end result is my point. It's going to look as if, oh, everything's just finely tuned. Even if I'm right, it would look exactly the same is my point. I think that's the error there.
I think you're making a salad of different things. Evolution has nothing to do with fine tuning. Evolution has nothing to do with the origin of life. Now, well, yes, evolution has nothing to do with the origin of life.
Natural
These are
selection.
two different. Well, there was no natural selection.
So hold on. I'm only stopping you because you're strawmanning my argument. The point was not to compare like evolution with fine tuning. That fine tuning was only a small example used to bolster my point. I'm not comparing those two things. My point is, I believe you've made a mistake of seeing. So we learn the things that I mentioned, how DNA works, like all of science. And then you can take all those things and go, oh, these things are linked and correlated. Therefore, this is required for life, when that's not, there's no evidence for that.
Well, I can make a testable hypothesis. I can say instructional information is always the product of an intelligent mind. You can disprove it by showing that non-intelligent mechanisms can instantiate and produce instructional information. Once you've done that, you have falsified my claim. And the claim that the origin of life, the origin of DNA, and so forth has been scientifically explained, that is simply not true. I have written a 3-volume book. You can look up my name on Amazon. It is called X-Ray of Life, where I put 2,000 problems in science which have not been answered in regards of the origin of life. And one is the origin of DNA, which is a very complex macromolecule, and also the origin of the information stored in the first life, which would be required. That would be about 1.3 million nucleotides in the right sequence. How do you explain that by random, unguided mechanisms? Well, I mean, be my guest. You can falsify my hypothesis. It is that instructional information only comes from minds.
Well, we've already done this. Like, is the answer to your like you're posing a challenge that has already been completed. Like,
no.
Yes, it has been. It's over. It's done.
Give me the paper which shows it.
Well, I can't do it right.
That's what I said next week.
Okay, same thing for me. I can't just pull it up right now, like in the middle of a live stream, but I will happily provide it.
Oh, cool.
Can you do us a favor so we don't get it wrong, please, sir? Could you go onto our comment section after this, shortly after, and type your questions, please?
And I'll be very happy if you send me the scientific paper which shows how instructional assembly information can come about by unguided random events.
You know that we can get all the amino acids that make that up, and we found them on asteroids in space. So we know these naturally form.
Yeah, which of the, how have the over 200 possible amino acids been selected?
We only need 20, mate.
Yes, we have only 20. So how did the natural process select 20 of over 200, which could have been...
It happens. We have found them.
They don't know
this to happen.
They don't know.
What we have done is we've also created the same conditions as early Earth, which is more lightning and all that kind of shit, different elements in the atmosphere.
Dude, the bottom line is
and they have self-formed.
So
this has been done. This has formed naturally, and we've done it with science. And I can get you the studies.
How has tryptophan been produced even in a laboratory?
I don't know what the fuck that even is. Which specific one are you trying to outsmart me with, mate?
So wait.
I'll do you, mate. And just because you're trying to fucking use woo.
Just because someone doesn't understand what tryptophan is does not completely debunk their position at all. But go ahead.
Go on.
Is he drunk? Does he drink? You drink, bro? Is that what it is?
So whose turn to speak? Is it mine?
It's you.
Yeah, you're fine. Go ahead.
Okay, so of the 20 amino acids, 8 have never been synthesized in a laboratory. In life, they are produced by very complex metabolic pathways which require over 160 proteins. So in order to make amino acids, you need proteins. But in order to make proteins, you need amino acids. What came first?
So hold on. I don't have the answer to that. I'll concede that right away. But I want to address something, and that's the framing here. So you're putting this in the context of the default, or at least your position is that a creator is the best explanation. So for one, even if we don't have the answer to any of this, and I can provide at least some evidence for some of the claims that I've made here, but let's for a second just say we had nothing. That does not in any way, shape, or form bolster your position of theism at all. You have to provide evidence for that. You're not doing that. You're going on a separate topic that's unrelated and using that as justification for your belief. And that's...
I fully disagree with you. I am saying that science has unraveled that the universe had most likely a beginning. It operates based on physical laws. It depends on very finely tuned parameters in order even to have a universe, but even more to have a life permitting universe. You have to, the science has unraveled that life depends on DNA and genetic code and genetic information. So these are all things which are the evidence which demands a verdict, which demands an explanation. So saying, well, there is no evidence for God. Well, first of all, there is evidence that we exist. We are here, we are talking.
That is not evidence for God.
Exactly. You have not provided any evidence for your God. You have argued that we are wrong. You have not provided any evidence for your God.
Is a superior explanation to all these phenomena. Hey, be my guest.
It is not.
How?
It is not. That's why you've got 4 freaking atheists here. Oh, sorry, 3.
Hold on. That's sort of an appeal to the majority. Like, it doesn't matter if there's it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many atheists and how many theists are here. All that matters is the strength or lack thereof of our premises.
We still haven't heard any evidence for a God.
I agree. And that's the problem. That's where I'm doing my best.
Or lack of. I don't think that either one can be known. I think that's the whole point. He's saying it makes more sense. I think he's saying it makes more sense to him that this stuff
the lack of is because it's an assertion.
Dude, shut the fuck up. Shut up.
No, I don't need to with you, JT.
No, I think you really should. I think you really need to shut the fuck up.
Not with you, though. Yeah. Everyone else.
No, I think you should just shut up, period. I don't think anybody gives a fuck what you're saying.
I think what we need to do here is start talking about streamlined butt sex, because that's how you lighten the mood. That's how you just cool off.
No, all the pseudo-intellectual bullshit aside, right? Because that's the fucking majority of the shit. Let's get to the fucking brass tacks. What he's saying, shut up. Okay, it's you. Okay, what he's saying is that it makes more sense to him that everything came from something that was also aware and also, alive and shit.
Right.
That's all he's saying. You need to explain where that came from in the first place.
No, you can't, because you can't explain shit either. So what he's saying is it makes more sense to him.
Okay. So yes, it's true that neither side has absolute proof, not to be confused with evidence, because that's a different thing. Right. But go ahead. What?
No, I agree. Right. Neither one has conclusive.
But that does not, let's not engage in the middle ground fallacy, because I think this is important. Let's not assume because there's no proof that both sides are equal, because they're not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not saying that either. No, he's saying that his is more valid.
I know.
Yours is more valid.
I know.
This is nonsense.
All I'm combating is I'm trying to make sure it's fine. It's fine that you present evidence for your side, and we present evidence for our side. Let's just not make it as simple as you can't prove yours, I can't prove mine. So
the reason that people don't agree is because both sides think that they have more evidence for whatever they believe.
Right.
And the reality is neither one can actually know for sure.
For sure, yes.
One has been a staple of culture for almost 3,000 years, where they force their beliefs on everybody.
That's
And it came from
irrelevant
a
to this.
very small region of the world. Which, if that God was so powerful, every nation would have had the same God with
So
the same
what?
holy
I
book.
don't
That,
force
absolutely
my
not. That's
beliefs on
completely
anyone.
untrue.
And we
I
would have
don't
10,000
force my
different
beliefs
religions.
on
No
So-
way and shit, dude. Just because people are saying that everything can no way. That's bullshit.
So
You
He
have
doesn't talk
God.
over people all the time. For
I-
fuck's
Absolutely
sake.
not.
I happen to agree with you, Gadwan, but it's also kind of changing the goalposts. It's a separate topic.
I don't even
it's
agree with
fine.
that. No, I don't. Because
Why?
just because people are concluding that everything came from like a living source doesn't mean they can agree on what that is or what the nature of it is.
It
No,
obviously didn't come from a living
they're not
source.
going to agree that they're not all going to say, "Oh, it's just this one thing." Like, no.
You
Church
don't
has
think
a
the
long
living
history
matter
of
is spread
indoctrination,
out over the
destroying
earth?
evidence,
Obviously, it
imprisoning their
transfers
opposition.
non-living into living.
But
Like-
even still, that has nothing to do with this conversation.
I mean, it's
But
fine.
what?
It's fine.
an
This is
indoctrination.
unstructured, so it's fine to bring up different topics. I just thought it was important to note that it was a separate thing, but it's fine. Go ahead.
Christianity ruled with an iron fist and killed anybody who didn't believe their way for
Which has
2,000
fuck all
years.
to do with what we're talking
And
about.
only in the last 200 years have people actually been able to freely
Of course it
understand and
doesn't.
look at the world in a free way versus the indoctrinated Christian view.
Dude, everybody wasn't fucking Christians, man. Jesus. What is your guys' weird shit against Christianity? Like, I don't see any other
main
religion being
religions-
fucking pinned.
The main
like,
religions of the world are
pinpointed
Islam,
as hard as Christianity.
Christianity, and Judaism, which are all Abrahamic religions that follow the same Yahweh God, Jehovah. It all
So
comes from
If
therefore
they
the
there
did,
is
they'd
no
all be the
God?
same religion.
So therefore there is no God, or what?
Well, to me, it's all made up. If you actually look at
I mean,
history, you can see most
I
of
don't
it's made
care
up.
if it's made up to you or not. I just want to know what is your point.
Well, I can explain all of your side explanations for why there is a God with physics and science. Yeah, I don't. From my perspective, you still haven't given an actual reason why there is a
But-
God.
God has to be indoctrinated on people.
Can we stay on the point? Jesus.
In
The
fact,
point
you
is,
haven't even
neither side can
defined
actually
your God
know.
to us.
He's saying it
Make
makes more
simple.
sense.
So
You're saying
I
it makes.
We need a
That's
proper
fine.
definition of your particular God.
Oh,
too.
he's saying like a living
Because-
conscious being as opposed to like some kind of fucking unconscious energy or some shit.
well to
Well,
be
that
fair.
means
To be
it could
fair,
be even deistic, which
Well, God would
means
have
there's
to be an
no way of
energy then.
detecting.
that's true.
Yeah,
but
basically, the argument is personal God versus impersonal, which is whatever the fuck you guys are talking about. Impersonal.
Right.
He's talking about something personal.
Well, I actually really like that Grasso started with the philosophical underpinning, because you're not going to come and debate an atheist in trying to claim that your specific God is correct and true. You have to start with proving that it's even likely that there is a God in the first place. So I completely agree with how he handled it. I don't see anything wrong with that.
I might have missed it.
No, he's only posing the
Yeah.
argument for the possibility.
Right.
Yeah. He's not even saying any particular God. I don't think. I haven't heard him say that.
I haven't either.
That's
And
just an
so
entity of creation.
Yeah, well, he's talking about the nature of what we're calling gods in the first place, which is a personal thing. Obviously, you're giving it personhood, or like you're ascribing consciousness.
Yeah,
or
there's no need for the agency, but there's no contra. Yeah, no. Okay.
He's saying it makes more sense
no
that it has
contradiction
agency.
here. But that's
Sounds
just
like
what we
we're
call
like
the
we're a
universe,
petri
because something
experiment.
happened.
Like we're in a petri dish, and then we're just an experiment for some benevolent being, which sounds ridiculous.
That's just
He didn't say it was
solipsism or
benevolent.
whatever.
See, you're good. You're the one giving characteristics to it. He hasn't
Yes,
said
he did.
anything
He
like
says
that.
all knowing, all know. Like he gave a whole list.
No,
of
that
it.
was me.
But
I didn't say anything
Yeah,
of
that-
only-
that-
He
Yeah,
didn't
no, that
describe
was
it
me.
at all. He
That-
just said that it would have
yeah.
to be like it had to be alive and intelligent. That's all
Nah,
he said.
Gads, that
ju-
was me, and I've been
right.
corrected.
You're the
Thank
one.
you.
No. You want to
Apologies.
shoehorn your weird little heart on against Christianity. You want to shoehorn that into every conversation you have. He's not talking about that.
no, I
You're gonna have
just
to put that
despise all
aside for a second.
religion. I just like the history
Yeah,
of
it
religion.
comes
I'm
up
just
the
saying
most.
you're gonna have to put that aside for a second because that's not what this man's talking about.
So
But
what?
it's all
What?
insane.
I think that we've got to the root of it at this point, and it is you're simply saying that it's the most likely based on the evidence from your position. We obviously disagree.
Right.
Where do we go from here? Like it's like we could, if you want to, we could discuss why specifically like kind of get further down into
it. His God definition is simpler. His God definition fits in with our. It's just the reason for the beginning of the universe.
Ends up being more of a philosophical argument, is what happens.
Well, yeah, the definition of God is strange here,
and I'm fine with that. We can have
right,
a
but
exactly.
nobody's going to provide scientific evidence for one or the other because that's not
the
possible.
God means something what God generally doesn't mean.
So you can't necessarily provide scientific evidence, but you can provide logic, which is just as good in my opinion. If you have logic that cannot be defeated, that is just as good as scientific. Like it works,
right? But when it comes down to it, both of agency without a reason to assert agency.
Okay,
that's the basicness of it.
Okay, buddy. Okay, both sides can give
the rest is
arguments
all
with
the
evidence.
Universe exists for whatever the belief is.
Whatever your name is, Odyssey. That's great.
It starts with happening
good story,
with
buddy.
agency behind it or formation behind it.
What is he yapping about? Why is he still yapping? Are you drunk, bro?
Because it's fun, JT.
Are you a drinker?
I'll do the same to you, knacker bags.
I mean, if this is to be some kind of productive interchange, then I think if one person just talks uninterruptedly, then it goes nowhere. And
common sense, right? Yeah, I agree.
And I think then I'm just wasting my time and I'll do something else.
Fair. So I believe we've kind of reached a kind of an impasse anyhow. So part of this is going to require more than just what we're capable of pulling out like right now, like immediately. And again, like some people, and I'm not saying you're doing this, some people will go, well, you don't have the information at your disposal. And the only reason why that would matter is if I'm trying to prove that I'm a genius, which is not my goal. My goal is to show that my position is the correct one. And if I can use information outside of myself to do that, that's perfectly fine. And you're just as welcome to do the same.
I am happy to see what evidence that you put on it, or what rationale that you put on the table in order to corroborate your position, and I'll be happy to analyze it. What I see is that in order for us to be here, there have to be made choices. Like, as I said before, life depends on 4 macromolecules, which are the building blocks of life, and they need to be selected from an infinite number of molecules which were extant on the prebiotic Earth. And if there was no selection mechanism, then it would be pretty impossible this to occur.
We disagree, but I get your position. So I guess from this point, it's going to require that we can move to another point if you would like, but I think on this specific topic, we're not going anywhere past this point right here.
Yeah, I mean, you would need more than just saying I disagree with you. You would need to be able to show me how an unguided process can select these macromolecules, which are very complex and which has never been observed that they could emerge randomly on a prebiotic Earth.
What will end up happening is I'll get a study and it'll have big words that I'll throw back at you, and then you're going to have to go and find out what those big words mean, and then we're going to have to do this again the week
he knows
after,
more about what he's talking about than
which
you.
is fine. Well, maybe not, brother. I did biotech at uni, so fuck off, JT. But I can do this, and I will put in a little bit of effort. I've at least taken a few notes.
Yeah, but you put some effort into fucking getting up the booth, man.
Next time. I can't quite see your name.
Life.
No, you could put some effort into not being an alcoholic. That would probably be beneficial for you.
Yeah, I don't drink, and I haven't had it.
Oh shit, you're like this naturally? That's even worse. You should have said that.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So you're just a belligerent piece of shit naturally. That's great. It's cool.
All right, let's stop the personal attacks.
No. It's more of like an observation, really.
I know, but it's still a personal attack. So we've got about 40 minutes just to let everybody know, and I'll be shutting down today. I actually have to shut down on time.
Cool. Great conversation. It was good meeting you. What's your name? Grasso? Nice points that you made there. Odyssey, go fuck yourself. See you guys.
Yeah, you're useless, JT. Always have been.
Yeah, guys.
He runs a troll chat.
Thanks for having me. And maybe
sorry, Grasso.
Opportunity.
Thank you,
No.
Grosso.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Our life
we'll
formed.
get back in touch later.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Soon we'll have the answers. Once AI can actually get into doing more of the breaking down of things, it will have a better way of actually explaining things than humans probably can. And like we're already learning a lot from CERN, the God particle, you know, different particles and such like that, which actually make up the whole fabric of the universe.
Right. So the problem is, at least in my opinion, theists tend to start with there is a God. And then like any evidence that comes out, like for instance, all the things you just mentioned, they're going to go, oh, that proves God. He just used this as the mechanism to make things happen. And so it becomes a circular argument.
In which they just called it the God particle because it gives all other particles mass.
I know. I wasn't attacking that. I know what.
Yeah. I'm just kind of explaining that too.
Right, that's fair.
Doesn't mean it's God particle, like because it's God. Like
that's true. A lot of people won't understand.
But yeah, that's where I went back to where it's people start from the Bible. They try to make reality match the Bible versus just observing nature for what it really is and just taking in the scientific method and deduction.
I don't get the agency bit because then you got to explain where's that come from. That's
that I think is the root of the problem, and it's the presupposition that there has to be, because it seems intuitive, which is just human pattern seeking, in my opinion. It seems intuitive, just like the watchmaker analogy, that because we're complex, because we require so much, so many things from the environment to exist, which I think that's backward again, but still they see things this way and they go, well, it's obvious that we had to have been created. And to me, that's fallacious on its head, but I can't, I mean, all I can say is, go ahead.
Look at Darwin's theory of like evolution. I mean, it takes environmental, like, so you put things in environmental situations and they're going to adapt and change to fit that environment. And that's how you get like humans. We're just a product of our environment.
Well, that's basically what I was saying is it happened in reverse. We were created we had to have been just for a second. If you use our position and you try to think from our position, like evolution occurred and all you have is what exists in order to create new life, whatever. So of course we're going to use that and we're going to rely on that going forward. And I think they look at it backward and go, yeah, we rely on oxygen and all this stuff and like the precise like atmosphere and everything of Earth and how we wouldn't be.
We're adapted to that because
Exactly. It's the other way around. We adapted to it. And I think they're looking at it backward to like prove their case.
Yeah. Like if you took people and put them on a proto-Earth before like fungi and mycelium like reshaped the whole Earth into the actual what we have now, like you wouldn't survive. Like there'd been too much oxygen, you would have died from over-oxygenation.
Exactly. So many changes. Hey, this is the puddle freaking argument from Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The shape of the hole that the puddle's in was there before the puddle. Like we fit the Earth, not the Earth fits us. So like the Earth wasn't made for humans, like religions sort of imply. We just formed on the Earth naturally. In the universe naturally, and that's why I was saying the shit about all the amino acids we need for life. We've found out in space on asteroids. We've hardly touched mining asteroids or getting shit from space. And we've already found all of the building blocks for life just floating out there. That's fucking insane to me. It's not proof or evidence, but exactly.
And it's also worth noting
that water out there that's fluid would have life.
Right. Really. Well, so one thing is we found all the evidence for life based on our limited knowledge. We don't know if there's other possible combinations of material or chemicals, molecules, whatever that can create life. We don't know.
Nope.
Well, we could be just from a hitchhiker, an asteroid or a comet that hit Earth that came from another planet that was lush of life, over billions of years. It evolved and adapted, and we're just a form of that traveled across space for millions of years.
It's possible.
Happened to land here.
So to me, it's not only fallacious in that you require a presupposition that's not like there's no evidence for, but it's also, in my opinion, incredibly arrogant. Like, we are the pinnacle of everything. The whole universe is bent toward humans. Like,
well, that's my point with religion, like how it enforced itself on everybody for thousands of years and became like everybody's like that's how it's done because the religion forced that on people. There was no other options. That was, and then it was indoctrinated.
It's why I believe it was there to control the masses. But
I believe that as well.
Yeah, but I have no evidence. It's
Right.
absolutely belief. I'll accept that when people argue.
So
but, it fits so perfectly, doesn't it?
It does.
Oh,
and
just
so
learn Roman history. It's like they literally use it as a tool to club people over the head.
Yep. So
Exactly.
you can't directly prove it, but I will say there is evidence. Like, just logic alone is evidence. So I think it's more likely than not that it's been used as a tool for control throughout history. So I don't think you need to be concerned about not having.
No, but it's hard when someone has their little pissant reasons for it to not be. And I don't really have a solid reason at all for it not to be, apart from
other than logic. But I think that the logic itself is quite a bit of evidence. It's not insane. Like, we have many examples we can point to where religion was purposefully tailored in order to control people, like the dude that caused people to drink the Kool-Aid. It's where we got that damn whole thing from. Yeah. Like, there's so many examples throughout history. And like, it doesn't take a big stretch of the imagination to just go, well, that's what all religion is. In fact, I think that's I think that's the most likely.
And it was a tool by many places. Like, if you look at ancient Egypt, they used all kinds of different gods to explain everything. Each thing in nature had its own god, like the rain, the river, you name it. And Christians just kind of formed that into one god.
Yep.
I mean, if you look at the ancient Sumerians, they had all these tablets of creation. There were 7 tablets of creation, not 7 days, which it just took in. Like the Great Flood. There's many cultures that had a Great Flood. Well, we know what that was actually. That was the Younger Dryas period, when the Mediterranean filled up with water and such, and all the glaciers melted. It flooded all the coastal cities because all the cities are on the coast or on rivers, because that's where you need water. and when the waters rose, it just flooded all those cities out. But they made it into all these magical stories about saving all the animals and shit.
There's a lot of that I didn't know. You know a lot about history.
I like it. That's my thing I like.
Fair. Well, it's very useful. And in fact, I would say it's critical in learning about certain signs and how to keep certain things from happening by using the past as an indicator. And right now is a great example of that. It's why I like that movie that you
Animal Farm.
Yes, because it's apparently all about the Russian Revolution and why the perils of people looking for they were looking for help because they were in terrible shape. And all it takes is one megalomaniac freaking authoritarian person that wants to use that to rise to power, and everything goes to shit. And it's something that we need to learn. Because if someone offers to stop Trump, we need to be sure that that person has our best interests at heart, or it's going to be history repeating itself.
If you imply there's a God, then that's implying that that's from religion, JT. I mean, just those two go hand in hand. You don't have God without religion. You don't have religion without God. If we had no religion, people won't be saying God did this and that. We just all accept science.
Yeah.
Are you guys having
in the end, his God was just the essence of the expansion of the universe.
Not one
You
thing
know,
how
like
I explained it.
something happened, but I'm going to put agency to it.
Well, my
And
belief
we don't
is
put agency to it, and we can explain it with physics. That's
right.
about it.
And that is, in my view, that is infinitely more logical because you're not adding something that requires more evidence, because you're not just making a claim of something that already exists. For example, when I say that energy is that answer to the problem of the contingency argument, energy exists. We can measure it. We know that it exists. But when you like pull out something crazy like a ghost created all people, or some like otherworldly entity created us all, you're jumping into territory that requires a whole lot of evidence to even get started. And just using Occam's razor, like I think that it's very problematic. Like I don't see it as a good default. Like if he came to, and there's a lot that he didn't, I'm sure he didn't cover everything that he believed. But just from the presupposition alone that there has to be a creator, that alone is problematic. And I think that it's fallacious, and it's an error in thinking, in my view.
Well, absolutely, because of the assertion of agency, hence therefore more explanation required. Same issue.
Right. And
is what they're putting on us.
I agree. And again, the contingency argument, which in my opinion is the best argument I've ever heard from a theist. That doesn't mean I agree with it, but I think it's the best I've ever heard. And even that argument
on this.
well, it goes right back on them. So you have a God that apparently doesn't, they step outside of the need for contingency. It's the uncreated creator, and energy can be that same thing. The only difference is we know energy exists. So it's
I had a
better.
long argument on the topic of energy, and energy is just a property of stuff. It's not actually. Yeah, we don't want to do this conversation again today, because I've put a video up. You should check it out. It's annoying. I had 5 people on to 1, and it was a good argument because I knew the science, but they were doing the woo version of energy, which is fine. But I just wanted them to admit that they were using the wrong word. So I was trying to get them to look it up on Google and shit like this, and they wouldn't do it. So. And that's,
well, then it's kind of a waste if they're not gonna take the time to dig into your position. Like, why are they even talking if they're not willing to do that?
Apparently, I bombarded their conversation, but it didn't seem that way to me at the time. But anyway, I've got a couple of people that don't like me now, and one blocked me because of it. So I must have done well.
It happened.
Anyway, yeah. I therefore did a video about it, which might get me into trouble, but I didn't do it as a payback or anything. I just did it to like showcase my point clearly.
Right. Well, some people, and I'm not speaking necessarily on their behalf, but some people aren't capable of taking criticism, even if it's polite criticism, of their views. And those people, I think, need to learn this and just never step inside like an interlocutor's sphere at all. You don't need to be in a debate if you can't handle having your position. Like me personally, I love it. Like if I'm incorrect, which I completely may be on many issues, I want to know I'm incorrect. I will thank you for correcting me. But of course, it's not simple. You're going to have to explain to me where I went wrong and all that good stuff. But it's very useful, and you stop growing as a person if you just shut out people because they disagree with you.
Well, it's like Epicurus said, a man cannot learn if he already thinks he knows it.
Exactly. It hinders growth. It basically makes you useless from then on, in my opinion.
And that's how I
had to learn their side as well to know how to argue my side as well properly. Like pretty much, they think energy is an entity, right? And it can exist without a conduit or anything, you know, like life force and fucking that feeling that you can tell someone's looking at you is energy, like down to lots of things.
So they're turning energy into like a
measurement of work.
Right.
It's a number. It's a fucking concept, basically.
Well, actually,
that we use to calculate shit. That's
True.
what the definition is.
I agree with you,
I
but
can
there's
mix it
not.
out a little bit.
I agree with what you're saying, but there's not one definition. There's multiple usages for the word energy. Many of them, actually. And it can.
Depends how woo you go.
True.
This is my point.
I agree. I agree. So, like, it depends on the claim, but like, you can be using it as a measurement, but it can also be used to define a substance that factually exists. Like
what?
Like a substance that is like energy in form. Like
okay, like an electromagnetic field underneath antenna. Yeah,
that's a good example. It
not
is,
energy.
but no, it's still energy. Like
it's not. The energy is the calculation that we do to work out what's happening in the field. The actual thing is the field. You could Google what energy is.
Enables an object or system to perform work or cause change. So it's a fundamental physical property, which means it's not just the measurement. It's not just a human.
What a property is. It's not like a characteristic of the thing.
Well, a property is a characteristic of a thing.
Yeah, no. So it's just a measurement.
No, it's the opposite.
It's a measurement of the work.
No. It's literally defined as a fundamental physical property. It's not a measurement. It's the opposite of it.
What did you type in? Because I typed in what is energy the other day, and I got my version. I'm not here arguing with you.
It's fine, and I have no problem. But I just typed in energy definition.
Oh, yeah, cool. We're semi-close anyway, man.
But
it's definitely not the freaking ESP that people were arguing.
We'll both agree 100% on that. That's just plain crazy shit.
Consensus. Yeah,
but my point overall is that there isn't just one energy. Like, it depends on what the person means when they're claiming it, because energy is a highly ambiguous term. There's many different usages.
Well, that's what I mean.
Right.
And
then not.
Elements just change form, so that energy, it doesn't.
And we were wrongly explained that too. And I got in this video that I just did that I was talking about before. It's a PhD physicist explaining why it's not. So I can't do it that well. Why matter isn't the stored energy?
Oh, right.
Yeah. And yeah, like it's difficult because I've only just been going over this for fun this week. But have a quick look, man. It's me watching someone else's live stream podcast where they had it all explained. So I just cut out about 10 minutes worth of it. So yeah, it's well worth a listen. It's fun and it supports what I'm saying, but I'm not saying what you're saying isn't true, because obviously I went into this argument knowing full well that I was doing an argument with the woo energy people.
Right. I mean? Yeah. So in a way, like our little difference in like this little deal is kind of derailing from the original point. And I get that. So what is the title of the video?
What is energy or something like that? Energy.
Okay. So it has energy in the name. I can find it.
Okay. Yeah. It's on my channel. It's one of my latest videos.
All right. I'll check that out. It does sound interesting, and I'm sure I'll learn something. I'm not incredibly well versed on the topic.
Electrons, protons, and neutrons. That's basis of everything, pretty much.
Yeah, but they're made up of gluons and fucking quarks, and like how far do you want to go, Gads?
I don't know how far it goes.
Scale structure of the universe. Well, they're down like we've got gluons, right? And they're held together with such strong energy that if you pull them apart, it creates another gluon. It requires that much energy to pull them apart that you're putting that much energy into the system that you create another gluon. But don't get me wrong, I know what you're talking about with this matter being energy thing, but it's not, because energy is just the measurement of the work involved.
Well, look what happens.
Now, the work involved here is the strong nuclear. Yeah, exactly. I totally get it, but energy is the measurement of that work achieved. from that splitting of the atom.
Which comes from the Big
Is
Bang.
all I'm getting at.
That whole
That's
process.
the physics and Google actual definition, or whatever
That's the actual
definition of what energy is.
Right. Well, that actually brings me back to something that I can't remember his name, that dude that we were talking to said, and that is his claim that there's no way to get past one of the thermodynamic laws in the crunch portion, and like something about heat going backward or something like that. And I don't know, that may be true. I need to look into this. If I'm wrong, I want to know that I'm wrong.
As the universe expands, it cools. We had the heating part at the very beginning of the Big Bang. That's when it was like super heated.
Right. So the heat portion is fine.
Something newer about that. You know how we have inflation. The way that inflation works is very much analogous to how a superfluid spreads, and then that's like when you have a liquid in the fridge colder than it should be and not crystallized, then you tap it and it goes to crystal, and that expands like that's the same sort of analogy of what happened with the Big Bang. But that super cooled thing doing that is the explanation currently, or something very similar, of inflation. But that requires it being super cold. So they're now thinking that the inflation part actually happened before what we now, or used to call, the beginning of the Big Bang.
Well, that's when all the quarks all matter came together in one centralized point, and it's condensed so tightly it caused a lot of heat, and then it just...
Absolutely. And once that inflation stopped being inflation is when the heat happened, or as that inflation was happening is when the heat started, because that's when it was no longer super cooled. So it went from super cooled to extreme heat, like you're talking infinite heat basically, because of the energies that are required, to now being nearly at absolute zero. Aren't we at like minus 270 degrees C as an average? So that's like 3 degrees above absolute zero as the average temperature of the universe. Yeah, well, 3 Kelvin above absolute zero. Same direct analogous Celsius to Kelvin, like the 1-to-1.
I have to agree on the streamline anal claim. I mean, it's true. But so I'll be honest, I didn't follow some of that just because I don't have the building blocks to understand everything that you said. But in that, is there an explanation for the dilemma that guy presented with the law of thermodynamics? Is there a way around that problem?
Which particular bit was his problem with thermodynamics? I heard him bring it up.
I'm gonna butcher it, but I can't really.
We went from heat to cooling down.
Yes, but he said the cooling down part violates some law of thermodynamics. We can't demonstrate how that can happen.
Well,
and that may be
in a local system, in an enclosed local system, which we believe the universe to have been for so long, which we don't anymore because of dark energy, but I'll get into that after. But universe is conserved. Not universe, energy is conserved. We've all heard that, yes? Because the universe is an enclosed system, but exactly, because the universe is a closed system. But this enclosed system's expanding, right? So you've got the same X amount of energy in a thing that's expanding. So therefore, the energy is dispersing, therefore it is cooling. This is just the basic law of the thermodynamics in a description for you. That's why everything's cooling down in the universe.
So are you saying that he made an error in claiming that it violates that because it doesn't?
Well, it doesn't violate it.
Okay,
the universe is doing exactly what it's doing because of it.
Okay, so that is what I need to check on and see if
it is not that simple, obviously.
Right, I know. Well, you're going to have to simplify
the laws of the universe.
Right. Well, you're going to have to simplify it to an extent anyway, because I'm a fucking retard when it comes to this topic. So if I'm going to understand you,
energy, which exists equally in any section of the universe, so any square meter of the universe, there is the same amount of dark energy, right?
Well,
but there's the same problem. The
True,
universe
but
is
there's
expanding.
arguments on the nature of dark energy and like
And what it is and all that.
Yeah,
but we do know it's an energy, and we do know that it exists because it does stuff. And we can get into all of that too.
We can measure it. Yeah.
We believe strongly that it exists.
Right.
We haven't found it, so we
CERN.
blah blah blah. Yeah, exactly. But it's supposed to be uniform. Is the key point here? But the universe is expanding. So if you have an expanding universe with a uniform amount of energy everywhere, that means that the energy is increasing in this enclosed system.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
It isn't enclosed because it's observable universe. It's not even the edge of the universe. There's no fucking wall there.
Well, you can
It's
even
the edge
test
of where we see
the
light
Big Bang. Yeah, I mean, if you turn a radio on and you get static, or a TV with static, that's background radiation from the Big Bang. You're still getting radiation interference.
Exactly. That's the CMB on the
Right.
TV. It's just not like down to the pictorial form that you're used to seeing in blue and red and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. That's where you get the data from.
So that I knew, and like at least that particular part that Gadwin just mentioned, and that's how we can measure it. And it's like it's essentially a fact. Like it doesn't necessarily. It's not a fact that the Big Bang was the origin of everything, but the Big Bang definitely happened for sure.
There is a new
exactly,
theory
but we
that
don't
we're
know it
inside
came
of a
from a
black hole.
singularity.
Mm-hmm.
We just know it came from a freaking very dense, very hot environment.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
That's where I'm thinking this new data, where it's basically saying we're inside of a black hole. So basically, if a black hole pulls all matter into it from another universe and condenses that into a single point, and then all of a sudden that explodes, destroying the black hole, but creating another like parallel universe, basically.
What, like
And
a
then
black hole supernova? That's kind of a cool idea, really.
And then that's where our universe resides, in that exploded black hole after it pulled all the matter.
Our universe is made to make black holes, really. That's about it. And they're all gravitationally attracted, so they'd suck into each other. So this is feasible. It'd take a fuck of a long time.
The great void in the universe, like there's that place where just everything's gone in our universe, where there's just massive.
They think there's something massively fucking matter thing or whatever attractive just outside the observable universe, making that happen. That's one of the theories I've heard anyway. So we notice a lot of things going in that direction. We can't see why, because the cause is just outside of the observable universe. So it's impossible for us to ever see it.
We could still measure it maybe in other ways. You're right, you can't see it, but we may be able to measure it.
Moving faster than the speed of light, which is it breaks the laws of that, where nothing can move faster than the speed of light except for the expanding universe.
That's just a fabric of space is moving faster, not actually the things in space.
Yeah.
The law exists within space, not of the. It's like, I was going to try to explain it in a weird way, but it's hard verbally only. I need hand movement.
You're not going to get me to understand. I'm too retarded. I'm just going to be like, I
visualize it, but it's hard. Yeah, putting things into words at times.
I used to enjoy having chats with Clyde. I was never really argumentative with him on space chat. He used to talk this stuff a lot, and he'd definitely be saying stuff which let you know that he's read stuff, but he hasn't read it critically enough. And he'd say really weird shit in the middle of his great, oh, fuck you. I know that you're up to scratch with this, but how the fuck did you get this out of that, you know?
Yeah, he'll form presuppositions based on his own feelings and add those into the science. And so in my experience, I don't have a problem with Clyde. I've never had a problem with him, but he seems to be one of the people I was describing before that does not handle criticism well, even if it's polite.
No.
He has blown up at me and fucking went crazy numerous times over minor disagreements.
Yeah, same.
He's a good chap, though.
Yeah, he's a good dude. I don't have a problem
with him. Exactly. Yeah, it's the same from everyone. He seems to have disappeared at the moment. So wherever you are, Clyde, good on you, and come back.
It's not a character issue or anything. It's like, how do I talk to this guy? Like, because I refuse. I'm just gonna say right now, I refuse to converse with someone that I can't be honest with. on my positions, because that's like, why the fuck am I talking? Like, I'm not here to like dance around and like praise you and make you feel great. Like, if we're having a discussion, at least for me, I generally don't do like, what do you call it? Like, how about the weather? What?
Idolization. Like, I ain't gonna idolize you because you're
Oh, right. Well, that's not what I meant, but like, I meant like small talk type shit I don't engage in. So if I'm in or I try not to, if I'm in a conversation, I'm here to be like, hey, dude, this is my position. What's yours? Can we grow? Can you like give me information that I don't have, and vice versa? But if I can't find a way to present that, even if I do so politely without you getting offended, it's a fucking waste of time. Like, I don't see any point in engaging.
How's the weather today,
Hey,
Ross?
Gads, do we have any news on our Discord? Sorry. Do we have any news on our Discord friend who disappeared at all? Is he coming back at all? Any chance?
I tried to send him a server thing to join, but I think he blocked me.
Damn.
Yeah, I had the same thing. He blocked me. But
So why did he block you? He had an issue with me specifically.
Well, I had a glance at your text thing. It's fucking super long, Trobe, so I never bothered to read it all.
It was long, but I left it there just to show I have nothing to hide. Like, he kept, and from my position, he kept getting emotional, and I was like, I tried my best. I'm like, dude, if we're going to continue this conversation and get anywhere, you have to quit straw manning my position and getting emotional and just throwing out insults. You're not offending me, but you're making this waste of time.
He was on the attack at the end. He was definitely on the attack at the end. And, fuck, it was us. We weren't really ever like that to him. Nothing, he dealt with us worse, a lot more beforehand. Jesus.
Well, I can kind of understand to a certain extent, because this is why I always say you should not take your beliefs and make them part of your identity, because then necessarily, because that's who you are, your identity is going to defend itself and you're going to get offended. So if you can't look outside of that,
the title of your channel.
That's fair. But like, it becomes pointless. It like, what are we doing?
The title's more to trigger people, I think.
Yeah.
The title of what?
Your channel. Kind of more to get people.
Mainly, I keep it the way it is now to get people to think, honestly, because we have this. Almost anyone goes, "Hey, this guy's American," and then they think of America in terms of left and right. That is incorrect, because I'm looking at things from the world stage. What is left ideologically versus what is right ideologically on the world stage? Again, Democrats are our left. Democrats are right wing on the world stage. So I consider myself center left on the world stage. And it's also worth noting, there's a couple of issues, not many, that I'm either neutral or on the right on, like guns, for example.
Many people, atheist just means without God, meaning,
well, yeah,
you don't have a religion, you don't follow God.
Right. So originally, I think it was just I wasn't trying to offend people or like be triggering or anything, but it was just this describes me. It makes it easy. But the problem is, what I didn't realize is it actually makes things more complicated, because people have preconceptions of what these center, left, and atheists mean, and it's always ambiguous and dependent on their personal experience, which means I'm really not giving people any information about me.
Yeah, rudely waited till the end to ask the guy to define his God, which was stupid. I apologize for my rudeness when that guy was there. No, it wasn't to him. It was only over JT, and
well, yeah, he did
it to me.
He did.
So I was just retaliating, and I shouldn't have, because you had a great guest for once, man, and it was cool picking the fucker's brain, and yeah. So
he put his link in.
I will try to put in a little bit of effort to find some research or some studies for him.
Yeah,
and like I said, he's not going to take it well. He's just going to say, "Well, you're throwing shit at me that now I've got to it's going to go exactly like a."
I don't know. This guy, you might be right, but he's not your typical theist. let's at least give him that.
No, exactly. That's why I'll put
He's a
some effort in.
machinist.
I'm hoping. I haven't bothered to look at this stuff for a while, and I've only heard the stuff on podcasts and YouTube channels lately. So, you know, that's why I said but I'm willing to go to the correct sources.
Yeah,
and I'm willing to find them out, but I may not be able to do it in a week. But fuck, I've got fuck all to do when I'm on my excavator by myself. So, may as well listen to this shit.
It's interesting in my opinion. And if he's he may be right. There may be, at least if it's not just right, there may be valid points involved there. And if so, I want to know those. And so I'm gonna do my research and see what I can do.
At the moment, he still hasn't given us a great reason to believe in a god or any evidence. And at the moment, he's just asserted an agency that I need a reason for. And
I agree with that, but
so to understand that, so then how can I get an explanation for it?
So, okay, when it comes to evidence, it don't necessarily have to be direct proof, but like if some of the claims he made were true, like the example that I brought up about like violating the law of thermodynamics, you have a lot more knowledge on that than I do, and you seem to understand. I don't. So I'm going to have to dig and do some research to get there. But if it turns out from my perspective that he was right on that, that is some evidence for his position, because
if you run it again past me, sorry, I don't mean to butt in. Yeah, I forget what it was. It was this. Well, I can't. A contradiction to the law, wasn't it?
Right. Well, I can't. The problem is I can't reiterate what he said because I don't understand it. So what I'm going to have to do is replay it, get exactly what he said, and then look it up and do my research. But so unfortunately, I can't just tell you what it was.
No, fair enough. You're in the same boat as me.
Large-scale systems do not violate the second law of thermodynamics, which state that total entropy is a closed system always increases or stays the same.
It doesn't even have to stay the same. It doesn't have to decrease, or, you know, like we're in a situation on Earth where things are actually being put back into order. But on the universal scale, things are going out of order, and that's what entropy is all about. Things will go out of order over time. That's why they predict the universe will have an ending. But the acceleration of the universe, we're still accelerating at a really fast rate, but that acceleration over time seems to be slowing down. So over every 10,000 years, that's slowing down, which is implying that crunch method of the universe and the Big Bang, which means expansion and then contraction, expansion and contraction. But there's no definitive nothing to back it up.
Right.
But none of this implies agency.
Well, that's the point that I made sure to clear up, because I did not like the framing. His position was essentially, if you don't have an answer to this problem that I'm going to present, our default is more likely. And I have a problem with that framing because it does not in any way, shape, or form point to the likelihood of a creator that we don't have answers for those specific things. Like the whole thing is like a farce, in my opinion.
Exactly. It's still an assertion of a creator or agency. Formation, not creation. It's
and you can't use something separate. Like, let's say, like he says something about the nature of thermodynamics, and that happens to be true. That is a separate claim. You are not in any way, shape, or form presenting evidence for a god. Like,
exactly.
The only way to do that is
life
to be
isn't
direct.
Evidence of God. Exactly. None of these things are evidence of God.
It's like putting a cracked egg back together. His entropy thing. That's one of the explanations he gave, which I thought was pretty good.
And complexity implies creator is stupid. Fucking simplicity implies creator, because they've put agency behind their creation to make it as simple and as resource saving and all that kind of shit, as energy efficient, as productive as possible. If they're able to do this, I'm sure they'd do it properly.
You're right, but I want to touch upon something, because this constantly gets messed up by theists. they go, you just explained that it's simple, overly simplistic, which is true. But then they go, simplistic. Therefore, using Occam's razor, it's the most likely. This is a misunderstanding of what Occam's razor means. It doesn't mean that just it's so simple and easy to understand. What it means is that it doesn't provide, like, the answer to the question doesn't open up a whole new set of questions that need to be answered. And that's what God does. It opens up so many more questions than it answers the original thing.
Exactly.
I was raised by young Earth creationists, so I've had a lot of.
Whoa!
Young Earth.
Congrats on the escape, Gads. Wow, that's impressive. You don't hear them much these days, here.
It just takes a little critical thinking and being about 12 years old. You can now.
Yeah.
I mean, I tested all these things with myself when I was like 12, like thinking through, like, well, if God it was first, then who created God? And or there can't be nothing. It always has to be something. It has to be an eternal loop. There cannot be a system of nothing.
Makes sense. Well, guys, I am out of time, and unfortunately today I'm a little crunched, so I'm gonna have to roll. It was actually we tend to always have good conversations, in my opinion, but today was especially good, in my opinion.
Not a problem at all. Thanks for having us as guests.
Entropy,
no so, I'll see you guys next week if you're available. Have a good one.
Alrighty. Later.
Catch you later.